Is there any scenario that you could think of where having multiple heads would be better than just one?
Oh, goodness. What a great question. Is it like, honestly, immediately flashed back to my days studying engineering, being like, if I could just have 3 people trying to calculate some of these problems, it would be amazing. I think like tough calculations where you could use the extra brain power is where my mind would immediately go. But like an everyday task.
Okay,
no.
but like that could just about just have a friend or something. I'm like, you have an extra head.
Yeah, I need some more brain power.
Okay.
I mean, I'm just saying. Mostly I just think about the struggles. I think about like, oh, if I would have made that Beyonce Cowboy Carter outfit, but had to do that for 3 heads, the struggle, the stress. It was stressful enough designing for one. I can't imagine trying to do that.
Well, okay, now you're making more sense.
Yeah,
because that sounds like it's like Dr. Manhattan, where it's like he got multiple Manhattans running around. He's doing all the same thing. At least he could disconnect himself.
That's true.
Like one,
he could. Yeah,
3 old necks on one body.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's like I don't see, maybe. Yeah, not to think like, oh, what if you were at a pie eating contest? Might be the only other.
In this scenario where everyone's like accepting of the fact that there's someone that has 3 heads,
yeah,
and everybody else has 1, and they go to the pie eating contest like, well, there's no rule that says there's more.
Yeah.
One doesn't have more than one head.
Nathan's hot dog eating, so you could beat
You've really got us on this loophole here.
Yeah. No, there's no rule against having multiple heads. So.
No question about the multiple head aspects. I'm used to that, but this whole loophole for the hot dog eating contest scenario,
yeah,
you've certainly got me.
You got to think broad.
I'm Aaron Neuwirth. I'm the editor-in-chief of Lee Entertainment, and I'm the co-host of Out Now with Aaron and Abe, and I am a huge fan of Godzilla movies.
My name is Terence Johnson. I write at lenoirauteur.net, and I have seen some Godzilla movies.
And together, this is
Two Black Guys Talk Godzilla.
Boy, we are knocking these out.
We are.
What episode is this?
This is
episode 7.
That's a great question. This is episode 7.
I was right. Okay, I had it right in my head.
This episode 7. Well, we have to do this because we have seen the future.
Yes, we have some in advance. We have some now, and
we have seen what episode 16, 17 might look like.
Mm-hmm. And but this is good because this week we're talking. These are all good. Let's be clear. But this week we're talking Ghidorah, the 3-headed monster.
Yes,
1964's second Godzilla release of that year. Mothra came out the same year as this film did.
Mothra versus Godzilla.
Mothra v. Godzilla. Dawn of Shibozen. But yeah, that's what we're eventually going to talk about. But before we get to all that, new things. And when I say new, it's relatively new because this episode's not going to drop until a little while after we actually recorded it. But at the time of this recording, we have some new iTunes reviews.
Lovely.
It is great to hear from fans.
It is.
Especially those that take the time to actually write something out on iTunes and post it.
Which honestly, thank you for doing that because I've listened to many a podcast and loved many a podcast and I haven't left a single review and or starred it. So I know that you took those who have left these reviews. Thank you for taking extra time out of your day to do them because we do appreciate them.
Well, as opposed to a real Rodan like Terence is, I'm a real Godzilla, a hero, some would say, because I have written my share of iTunes reviews for podcasts that I spend my time listening to.
I follow them and I listen to them all the time. I'm a loyal listener, and that is sort of, I'm a loyal listener.
Fair enough. Well, we have a couple here. This one is from Show a Fan for Life.
Ooh.
It's titled Thanks.
Mm-hmm.
They write, thanks for reading my review last episode. I'm going to write another one. This podcast is amazing, from the Godzilla movies to others like my favorite Rodan. The Rodanites. They're speaking in.
The Rodanites. The Rodanites.
I know this isn't a movie, but if you could go to a website called Scratch, go to 5 Ton is Cool, and watch the Scratch Avengers, I would really appreciate it. But if not, I understand. Thanks.
I'll give it a view.
We can look into that. We can see what's going on there. So thanks to that, Show a Fan for Life. This next one is from Jay Hammerick. And this one is titled, I like this already, if I can open it up. It's like, give me a ... because I'm on my phone, but I think it's titled "One White Guy Listens to Two Black Guys Talk Godzilla." This one says, "Really enjoying this podcast a lot. The difference in background with the series gives it a fun angle, and I love that each film of the franchise gets its due with a dedicated episode. Excited to keep listening."
I'm excited for you to keep listening.
Yes, thank you, One White Guy.
Yes.
So yeah, the reviews are definitely appreciated. Happy to get more of those, of course, and we're just happy to keep doing this show, and excited that other people are following along. The Rodanites and everybody.
Mm-hmm.
I can't wait to see when one of the Varanites chimes in.
I'm glad that my feelings about Rodan, didn't dissuade people from like.
What I like is that there's so many kaiju in this series. They're gonna have a lot of nicknames for the fans. We got the Rodanites, the Varanians.
We got the Rodanites, the Varanites, and the
Mothricians. the Ghidorahs are coming, I'm sure.
Yeah, the Mothricians is that was such a foolish thing for me to come up with, but every time I think about it, it just makes me laugh.
The Angiricides. We'll have plenty of things to workshop through as we get through.
Yes,
but yeah, we are going to talk this week about anything else. Anything else I need to be?
That's some of the major things. Yeah,
mentioning here. Okay. Well, good. Yeah, I don't really much in the way of show notes on this show because we just kind of get right to it. So that's what we're going to do. Let's get right to...
This is not as... This is very put together podcast, but this is not Out Now with Aaron and Abe, which is a phenomenal podcast that's been running for how long?
We've been going for
10 years?
You wish it was 14 years.
14 years. My God.
2011.
The Showa era podcast.
The Showa era podcast. From our first episode, Battle LA, to our most recent at the time of recording, Thunderbolts.
Battle LA. What a kickoff.
We've talked about, so since Thor, we've talked about 34 MCU films on this podcast.
Jeez.
That's ridiculous.
Jeez. Yeah.
All right, but enough of that out now. Let's get back to Godzilla. And let's talk about Ghidorah, the three-headed monster.
Nothing the screen has ever shown before can surpass the thrills of Ghidorah, the three-headed monster. Created from an atomic fireball hurled from outer space, Ghidorah, the three-headed monster, threatens man's very existence on Earth. Ghidorah, the three-headed monster, battles Godzilla, Mothra, and Rodan for mastery of the world. Men quake before the terror of their unleashed fury. All new, all never to be forgotten. A new high in screen terror.
All right, that's a little trailer for Ghidorah, the three-headed monster. Here's the brief plot synopsis that I found for this movie that I think does a pretty good job of surmising everything. A detective protects a princess who prophesizes Earth's destruction by a powerful space monster, the world's only hope being if Mothra can persuade Godzilla and Rodan to unite and save the planet.
Certainly that covers everything that happens in this movie.
Yeah, fair. Okay, so...
Do I feel like that's how the movie unfolded? Not necessarily, but that does cover what happened, yes.
Okay, so let's get into Ghidorah, the three-headed monster. Here's the thing. I love Ghidorah. I feel like I've made that clear in the past, but in case it's not clear already to listeners that are now listening to this show, Ghidorah is my guy. Like,
interesting.
Yes, like Godzilla's like my hero and all this stuff, but in terms of like his adversaries and whatnot, and we have certainly a lot of them.
Yep.
And there's many that I like. Ghidorah is rules to me. I was like the idea that I got to see a modern CG take of Ghidorah, the three-headed monster, thrilled me because that's nuts that we've gone from what you just saw in this movie to like a fully rendered version of this thing that's like gorgeous to look at. For me, Ghidorah is like the T-1000, where it's just like the reason Terminator movies can't do anything better than T2 is you gave you like there's nothing better than a T-1000 in that world.
Yeah.
Like what they keep just doing different variations on Liquid Metal Terminator because like what's better than that? Like what else do you do? With Ghidorah, there are other kaiju we're going to meet that are pretty fucking cool that I like a lot. But it's like a 3-headed dragon monster that like shoots lightning and flies and like it's nuts. Like that's such a fantastic design for this world of things that we already had like a giant moth creature, a fire dragon,
a fire pterodactyl,
like a stegosaurus that like limps around. Like we have all these weird other creatures already. And again, there are some bug nuts, crazy things you're going to see that are coming up very soon in this franchise.
I'm excited.
But Ghidorah, it's like not only is the design just really cool to me, but like he doesn't fuck around. Like Ghidorah,
no, he was tearing Tokyo up.
You're going to see a lot more of Ghidorah for a reason, because like you don't just easily get rid of them.
Yeah.
So I'm a big fan of Ghidorah, and I was excited to we're in a big sweet spot right now for me in the show era because we're gonna be we're gonna see a lot of Ghidorah related things going on. But just to get some initial thoughts here, just like I could gauge where you are with Ghidorah, the 3-headed monster. What did you think? What did you think of this entry?
I was excited to watch this, obviously because I had no understanding of Ghidorah's origin when I saw King of the Monsters, the legendary Warner Brothers production. I thought it was an interesting sort of villain, so I was excited to dig into the origin and see how we got to where we will eventually get to, you know. I thought that Ghidorah as a monster is pretty fascinating. The second Ghidorah flew over Tokyo, it was lightning strikes on it, blowing everything up, tearing the city up. And I can appreciate that from a monster of being like, yeah, we're just it's on site essentially. I thought that this film has a lot good going for it. I honestly wanted more of Ghidorah.
Sure.
I wish I could have had a little more destruction, or just a little more of the monster, because I do think it's a really fascinating character. It's got a great sound design, the like clicking, and you know, it presents an interesting foil for the kaiju and Godzilla in particular. It's like, what if we combine Godzilla and Rodan essentially into one monster, right? We have this flying abilities, but we also have sort of the lightning strikes. We've got the close range, we've got long range attacks, and we've got flying all in one. I think that, so I did want more Ghidorah because I feel like the human plot in this was decent, and I liked how gonzo it felt, but it was so much of the humans. And like it's not as compelling as some of the other entries that we've had, where it's like it's more gonzo than, you know, some of the other things that we
Raids Again.
Yeah, like a Raids Again. The human plot is much more like out there. It's a princess who sees some sort of alien vision thing, jumps off a plane that had a bomb on it because they were sent to kill her, and now she's Venetian, whatever. She's from Venus.
As in, her mind has been occupied by some entity from the planet Venus, as opposed to being from the Venetian Hotel in Las Vegas.
Yeah, or from the city of Venice.
Either way.
But so she thinks she's that. She's prophesying the end of the world. She's trying to get anybody to listen to her. A police officer still wants to be her bodyguard after all of this. He's trying to help her out. We've got assassins trying to kill her for some reason. We've got a newspaper girl who wants to get the scoop of the century. We've got our two favorite infant island people. So it just is like so out there in a way that I appreciate, but it's not as compelling storyline wise. So this might be, you know, so not that I always want more kaiju battle because that's what we're here for, right? I will say the same thing the later on in the series we go, right? Even though we know sort of what the formula is of these things, but I just thought that the storyline wasn't as compelling. It might have been different if the police officer brother had met up with the princess a little earlier in the story. It would have, because it's like, oh, like he's trying to be the bodyguard and all. Like when he comes in, he's trying to do all of his heroics, and we're trying to keep her alive, and we're trying to help her out. It's like, okay, that's great. That's just not. It's just the human stuff in here just is not as compelling as some of the other films that we've watched in this series.
Okay, so I disagree.
Ooh, disagreement.
I
not that it's not. What I will say is not that it's not fun. It's just not as. I just wasn't as emotionally invested.
Yeah, I can go with chaos like this a lot more easily than I can with some of the other things we've seen so far, and that's, I think, easily why I respond more to a film like this.
Mm-hmm.
And trust me, this is like with this movie, which is still directed by Ishiro Honda, and featuring like all the staples.
Yep.
Between the Ifukube score,
my favorite guy is back playing
multiple actors,
another scientist. Yeah.
This is very much the series, I think, finding a groove as far as Godzilla versus these things, and whatever they happen to be encountering, befriending, what have you, in order to solve whatever the kaiju battle is. But in terms of like the plot lines, will there be more like melodramatic type stuff like we had in the first couple? Perhaps. But will there also be possibly aliens, weird conspiracy plots, assassins, scientists, newspaper people, all combined in like a series of different things? There's gonna be a lot of that. And this isn't my favorite version of that one, I can say that. There's one coming up that pretty much is my favorite version of that, but as far as how it's getting my attention and how it's keeping me in like line with what's going on, I do like this stuff a lot. It's just so silly to me, and it fits. If I have like a movie that rests on, a giant walking monster, a flying monster, and a larvae teaming up to fight a 3-headed lightning dragon, I don't really mind how silly and convoluted it all is. Like,
I don't.
And I'm not saying that that's the inherent problem for you is that, but in terms of like just subjective value I get from this versus the other, I do like this.
Yeah, I think it's just a little more like execution, because I do
understandable.
It's so, if you're gonna have, it's fine to have her be like possessed by some sort of alien being in a movie with an alien monster.
Sure.
It's fine, and to have her sort of, it's more about all of the elements and how they've come together. I think if the brother and sister would have gotten to her a little earlier in the story, so that this like ever present assassin threat just felt more. It just felt a little more. I just needed a little more, or because I was waiting. I'm like, Ghidorah, come on up out of this egg. Let's get it together, and I wanted to see what Ghidorah had in store.
I can certainly understand wanting more Ghidorah, and I mean, the world agreed with you because you're getting a lot more Ghidorah. So don't worry. This is you'll have your
world
fill.
Knew.
You'll have your fill of this thing. Like, I think when they designed this costume, they're like, "This rules." Like, what? Do not throw this away. Like, we're gonna keep this around.
Way better looking, way better design than Rodan.
And
sorry to her.
And I agree with you. At the same time, the Rodan in this movie is a better designed Rodan than the previous movie.
Yes.
Also, I mean, they all got upgrades here, and it shows. I mean, we talked about it in the Mothra movie that the effects and the miniatures and whatnot are really good. This is great in terms of the production aspect of it. Like this, and so here, just to provide a little context, this movie came out so quickly; it was rushed actually because Kurosawa was running behind of Redbeard, his next film. With Mifune, which I love. That movie rules, but it was in Kurosawa's kind of later Toho years. He was taking a long time between projects. He's taking his time. He was being a real Kubrick.
And they said, we need to make some money.
So we need to release movies. And so like, all right, get Godzilla going. And so they got this out there. And yeah, it was a hit. Like this is peak times for this series as far as these movies keep delivering. Not all of them can deliver as big as King Kong versus Godzilla did, but they're certainly like they're not waning at all yet. Like this is why we're gonna get one, if not two, a year for a good while from Toho because they are working.
Yeah,
and part of that comes from the fact that they're showing a lot of creativity. They're showing varieties of how to do this thing. They're still incorporating actors that are like recognizable faces in the world of Toho and Japanese cinema, and it shows. I do think this is a quality production in that regard. Obviously, you have Ghidorah, but you have this kind of. Now we're really assembling the troops here. It's like, what do we have in our library? We have Rodan, we have Mothra. Let's put them all in a movie together. I love that this movie starts with like in media res teasing in the credits, where it's like you're going to see a bunch of these guys.
Honestly,
all together.
It reminded me of James Bond and Mission Impossible.
Sure,
where they're like, this is, and I love the credits for James Bond and Mission Impossible, but sometimes I'm like, you don't have to show me the movie. I'm sitting here ready to watch the movie, but in here I was like, oh, that's such a fun thing to be like right off the bat. Here's who you're going to see. Here's what's, we get a hint at, you get a hit, particularly at the rocks, which is just thought was such a funny thing to tease once you finally get through this movie. Like, we're going to show you that Godzilla is going to be used kicking these rocks.
I like that you see Rodan first, because that's, if you're, like, again, we've talked about this before as far as, like, placing yourself in the shoes of, like, the Japanese people watching these movies for the first time. And being like, we're familiar with these other characters like Mothra. Like, the last time around, you got Mothra versus Godzilla, which must have been like, and exciting to say the least. As far as like, oh wow, those two monsters are in the same movie together. That's fun. Now you get a Rodan Rodan's 1956. So this is almost 10 years later, and you're getting Rodan back now facing off against Godzilla.
Yeah.
That's got there's got to be nerds of that time. They'd be like, that's cool. We're throwing Rodan into one of these movies now, and Mothra's here. Also, who's this new guy? Like, that's fun. That's neat to see, like, all of this stuff coming together this way. Watching a universe kind of build itself out. I find that to be pretty. I mean, we've literally lived through that multiple times with superheroes at this point. Yeah, as far as cinematic adventures go, but this is a series that's along with the Universal monsters. It's neat to see that form for the first time in cinema history. Those kind of bonds that you're dealing with.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. There is a lot to like about this movie. I do want to Ghidorah. I think the design of Ghidorah is really cool. I wrote down in my notes, I was like, I love how Ghidorah was born. Just that sequence of the egg cracking open and the fireworks and the VFX in the night sky and the forming, and the sort of puppetry of it, I thought is really, now, like you mentioned, sort of the sweet spot. It's we've obviously seen impressive effects. Last episode with Mothra, dragging a Mothra puppet dragging Godzilla across, just the things that they're able to do. And in here, they're like, okay, now we can continue to step up our game and do these really interesting, visual effects and creative things. And so, I'm hopeful for more Ghidorah because I wanted more of him in this.
Yeah, compared to Mothra is really, I mean, the other ones have lore, and you've already seen one coming up later that certainly has lore attached to it. There's only so many of these that have substantial backstory because again, they don't talk, they don't have character arcs because they're just giant monster things that fight each other. So in terms of more Ghidorah, it's not going to go check on Ghidorah back at home with, looking at his wife and kid and be like, oh man, I had a rough day at the office. There'll be more Ghidorah, but it's not necessarily rooted in what the backstory is behind the Ghidorans.
Yeah.
Like that.
I mean,
I think, but in terms of how Toho continues to realize what a gold mine it seems to have with this specific character, they find things for it to be involved with that will.
Yeah. And I think it's interesting because in a way, this is like Mothra in that title character of the film, and yet not in the movie a lot.
Sure. Which is a pattern. I mean, you look at Mothra, you look at Godzilla. I mean,
but I think for the first time, the main crux of the narrative isn't necessarily revolved around that character, right? In the way, like Godzilla, the first Godzilla, obviously he's the only one, so everybody is responding to Godzilla, trying to figure out how to deal with Godzilla. In Mothra, it's like we're at Infant Island, we know Mothra is around the corner, and here it's like we obviously know that this egg is something.
Mm-hmm.
We know our princess is saying some stuff is going to go down, but our attention is on Godzilla and Rodan, and then Mothra trying to convince them, and then Ghidorah sort of really getting in on the action. So it's like it's just it's interesting execution wise.
I mean, Ghidorah is a means to an end, and yes, I mean the plot hinges on these two stopping their fight against each other by way of a larva form of Mothra speaking to them.
That's what I'm saying. The Gonzo, just craziness in that screenplay.
Just to make this clear, for a good chunk of the movie, Rodan and Godzilla are just fighting it out because Rodan's a giant dick, as I've established, and he's just going after Godzilla.
And we'll talk about that. I want to talk about that a little more in detail, but yes, continue the point.
And it comes down to the Shobuzen chanting over to Mothra, getting Mothra to leave Infant Island, where it's just being nonstop worshipped all day in its lounge section on the island by all the islanders there. It leaves there, comes over to Japan.
Yeah.
And walks up to, slithers up, whatever the hell it does. It goes up to
train walks.
Train walks up.
It sounds like a train.
Train walks up to Rodan and Godzilla, slathers them with its like web fluid stuff to like stop them from their tracks for a hot minute, just so we can like start talking to them. And then the Shobuzen are on this because the people are watching this like, what's going on? And one guy's like, I don't speak monster. And why are you asking me? And then they looked at the Shobuzen and is like, we got this. We do speak monster. Obviously, we're tiny girls. Why wouldn't we speak monster?
Yeah.
And then they translate everything that Mothra's saying as far as, hey, you guys got to like stop fighting and go after Ghidorah with me. And the the Godzilla and Rodan are like, wait, hold on. We don't care about humans. They bully us all the time.
Let's stop right here to talk about your fave saying one of the most bonkers things I have ever heard in a movie. Godzilla, humans bullied you.
I mean, you gotta look.
The humans are bullying Godzilla.
You gotta look at it from Godzilla's perspective.
I could not believe. Godzilla would have the nerve.
Let's just play a little devil's advocate and talk about.
We don't need to advocate for the devil. Godzilla.
Let's talk a little bit about what Godzilla's been doing. Let's remember that the first Godzilla died. Right, this is the second Godzilla.
Yes.
So let's just take a look back for a second and think about what has Godzilla really done. He occasionally maybe comes up on land, walks around a bit, and what happened? First time it happened. First off, the other time it happens, he's with Anguirus. He's not even in Japan. He's just like on his own place till they go after that temple, which seems like kind of by accident. Seems like, all right, we found this temple. Second time. What, King Kong? Like, Godzilla's seems like he's minding his own kind of business. Then he starts stomping around maybe a little bit close to the industrial area, a bit, and then they throw a King Kong at him. And battle, they're big monsters. Maybe they just happen to rumble into the town a little bit more than they should have. Okay, fine. But what happened with I guess Godzilla just wanted an egg, right? He wanted to get some eggs, because eggs are expensive, as we all know. He wanted to go for the Mothra egg, and then the humans started getting in his way again. They're just causing trouble. I mean, if I was Godzilla, I could see an argument. Where,
I just want everybody on the spot who's listening to this to know that I'm side-eyeing the hell out of
I'm just trying to do my own thing over here.
Advocate for the devil, because that is ridiculous. Godzilla has been trampling multiple cities, crushing people, burning them up with atomic breath, down in whole power grids.
I'm just arguing that only the first film he's like directly attacking a city. I would say he's on the outskirts of other cities.
He has been terrorizing the country of Japan. He blew up a submarine. He has been doing all of this. He tried to eat Mothra's twins.
Again, eggs are expensive. Let's just remember, bullies never think they're the bullies, right? They're always
exactly,
they're
and that's why it was so ridiculous. I just could not believe. This is a part of would say that.
This, as I mentioned in the last episode, this is the first one where Godzilla's more of an anti-hero as opposed to a direct villain.
Because even in this, he was trying to trample this. Like, come on, man.
It seemed like he was just taking a walk, and then Rodan started fighting him. That's what I saw.
The number one Godzilla fan over here trying to defend.
It's not about
this
defending.
Man.
I'm just trying to provide a certain
hundreds of millions, if not billions of dollars worth of damage every time we press play on one of these movies, but the humans are bullying Godzilla.
I'm just providing a perspective from their point of view. That's all I'm saying.
I don't want to. Well, who was bullying Rodan?
Rodan's a dick. I don't care about Rodan.
Talk about the human bullying. Rodan just was blowing the city away.
Yeah, Rodan's a jerk. That's what he does. I'm not here arguing. I'm not his lawyer.
Mothra. I'm not
litigating on his behalf.
Yeah, talk about the human.
These are separate cases.
I could not believe Godzilla felt the nerve to fix his two lips to tell Mothra that foolishness. That was what this movie is. Both intentionally and unintentionally hilarious. The thing, I don't speak monster. The humans bully us.
I think this is pretty intentionally hilarious.
The random "Where Are They Now" show with the kids was really funny. I think the funniest part of this movie, though,
yes,
I think you're trying to advocate and take up for Godzilla because this is one of Godzilla's poorest showings in terms of fighting.
So far, in terms of the fights we've watched, yes, Godzilla doesn't fare too well.
This was your favorite. This was bad. He was getting, I know we like to keep this clean, but he was getting his ass beat.
Okay.
I think of the fighting time, 80%, 85% of it was spent with Godzilla getting toe up from Rodan and from Ghidorah.
I mean, these flying monsters don't help him out very much.
He was letting that ugly flying pterodactyl peck him on the head, pick him up and slam him on the ground, blow dust in his face. Ghidorah was lightning zapping him in the butt. All of these things. It was one of Godzilla's poorest showings.
We all have our off days.
This was an off day. This was the James Harden Game 7 fights. That's what this was. It was bad. It was bad. Luckily, the end result was all three of them teaming up, and Mothra is, got it on lock, and Mothra and Rodan teamed up to fly up in the air and get the heads of Ghidorah while Godzilla grabbed the tail. It was like, okay, the teamwork of this was great, but
to jump back. Well, okay, if we had to look at that for a second, I feel like the reasoning I can understand is, for one, you got to make Ghidorah a threat, which makes sense.
Yes,
because it's the main villain. I think also if you're looking at Rodan having this being the first time that they're being featured in a film in 8 years, I guess it makes a level of sense to show that it's just it's very powerful as well.
Yes,
because I could see a version of this where Rodan's like, what does that thing matter? It's just it's just little pterodactyl. You got to show that this thing is both the same size, basically the same size as Godzilla, and has enough power to effectively take on the king of the monsters.
I mean, dying Mothra last episode was,
got the hits in. Yes.
Yeah, being able to drag Godzilla, around and sort of do all of that. So it's not even a matter of it's great to have, sort of Rodan equally powered, because it's and he's doing more than even Mothra. Mothra was just annoying Godzilla as a bug, but this one was really.
I get what you're pointing out as far as Godzilla getting beat up. I will say here's a modern comparison that's not entirely the same, because I do think Godzilla's is the king of the monsters. But a joke I've seen about Invincible is that it's called Invincible, and yet the pattern of Invincible tends to be, I'm invincible. Then he gets his ass handed to him, beat up within an inch of his life, still maybe overcomes in the end, but he's yeah, I won because I'm invincible. It's he just wins because that's the role he has, the one that wins the fight.
So what you're saying is Godzilla is the anti Dwayne the Rock Johnson. It's not required for Godzilla to win every single fight.
He's an Indiana Jones in that regard. He takes punches just like he gives them.
Yeah, it was. You're
gonna see some gory Godzilla fights, by the way.
But your face. Yeah, it was bad. I started to feel bad for Godzilla until he brought up the foolishness about humans bullying him, and then I was right back on. Okay, maybe it's time to. He might need a little more damage.
Had an off day.
It was This was certainly an off day. Like I said, the James Harden Game 7 of a performance.
to bring it back to Ghidorah's effectiveness as far as like showing the terror that it delivers.
Yeah,
I can understand like wanting to see more of it because it's a lot of a good thing. I want to see more of a good thing.
Yeah,
but the initial attack it does bring to Tokyo and just starts zapping everything and blowing stuff up. It's pretty effective as far as like. Yeah, we need to stop this. This thing has 3 heads jangling around and just blowing up anything at random, no purpose beyond destruction. And after the Venetian woman has already said, this thing's gonna bring death.
Essentially,
that's its only goal.
The society on Venus was far more advanced than Earth, and Ghidorah wiped it all out.
Mm-hmm.
And so you do get a pretty dire warning about what needs to happen.
It must have been, I guess, because I assume their technology allowed them to not deal with having to be much closer to the sun, and
certainly
I assume they had some kind of like protective force field that allowed them to develop a rich society full of nutrients and
they were able to breathe in that acidic weather. Like I said, I like the terror of Ghidorah. I like just flying over Tokyo and just zapping it right off the bat. And it's like, oh, okay. And obviously people there are scared because they've lived in this land with kaiju all of this time. But it's like, I don't even think they were prepared for that.
It's like, how many heads does it have?
The 3 heads, the sort of lightning powers. And that's why I said it's like he's a really great amalgamation of some of the things. And I, see why a monster like that gives Godzilla trouble, It's like, because then you think about it, it's like, okay, if you get rid of 1 head, there's still 2 more left to do all of this sort of damage.
We'll see this is what the 6th movie into the show era.
Yeah.
There's a lot of stuff to deal with when it comes to Ghidorah and how to deal with its heads and what have you that I'm excited to see. And honestly, I mean, just to jump way ahead as far as the legendary films go, I mean, we've had a lot of at the time of this recording, we've had a lot of King Kong at this point as far as that side of the story in the more recent films. If the next one presumably is going to be back to being about Godzilla again, even though we've already dealt with Ghidorah, the fact is that universe has established, much like this one has, aliens exist. And I don't know how much else you can do with the Hollow Earth and all that stuff, but you can certainly go out and bring stuff in from outer space. I'm curious what they want to deal with in that regard, because they've established through Ghidorah alone that there's a world outside of the planet.
And certainly, there's like a particular plot line that's coming up down the pike that is, sort of deals with that.
So, in saying that, talking about this movie, yes, we have a woman who's been possessed by Venetian spirits or whatever, along with, a 3-headed lightning demon from another planet. Now, you were exposed to another Godzilla film that at least had you prepared for the idea that there's otherworldly life.
Yes, I was.
So I could tell that you were, not too surprised by the fact that Venus played a big role in this movie.
Yeah.
That said, given that this is the first time that we're dealing with an extraterrestrial compared to just ancient lore coming to life based on songs and other means.
Yes.
Were you at least were you intrigued by the fact that we're getting extraterrestrial now in this series?
I was intrigued. It was very, like I said, the plot of this is just crazy because I was just almost slightly unclear as to like, okay, so she jumps off this plane, like she sees something. And it we get a really, fun highlight sort of moment on this actress. And it's telling her to rise and get up off of the plane. She gets off the plane. She jumps out the plane. And you're kind of just like, I was like, no parachute, no nothing. And then you find out it's like, because she jumped, it's like in between dimensions, which allowed that to lessen the fall.
Yes, obviously.
And so I just was like, you know what, just go with it. Just go with it. We have an alien monster. It's all right for us to have alien people. This is the better version of Interstellar.
I like how bold it was to be like, not only are we going to have this, we're going to bring Rodan back.
Yeah.
Rodan
was just chilling in the volcano.
Yeah, where they chill.
Now you want to talk about somebody, even though Rodan is so awful, who would have been like, okay, humans were disturbing my peace. Homegirl was like, do not go down there.
Mm-hmm.
The hat flies down into the volcano.
Yeah.
And this girl and the wife of the man whose hat it was like, I got that for you as a gift. And I said, oh, well, girl.
Hats fly off.
Oh, well. And homeboy was like, I'll go down there and get it for $200. Goes down there and he is the one who disturbs Rodan and wakes him up. So I was like, okay, I could understand at least Rodan being like, I was just sleeping and then somebody came up in my house and started yelling about a hat. And now I had to get out and see what it was. So yeah, I didn't mind the sort of Venus of it all, although just sort of I would have loved if that girl would have just strapped on a parachute and then jumped out of the plane.
I like this is your touching point, the fact that she survived this fall.
Yeah. Well, because I was like, well, how did she? I almost thought she landed on the egg. I thought it was just like the egg was flying by the plane as it was getting ready to blow up. That's how she survived the fall.
And of course, not only do we have this Venetian woman prophesize or what have you, but of course she becomes a target for assassins.
Yes.
In terms of
is this the first assassin plot we've gotten?
In chronologically, yes.
Yeah.
Yes. And it won't be the last.
No, it won't.
Because you have to stop people somehow. Well, no, I mean,
unless you want to,
the King Kong one doesn't really count as an assassin, but it's more of like a we really want to destroy each other type plot. But,
yeah.
But no, and so because I'm trying to get into like what is it that I guess lessens your interest in something like this.
Yeah, I mean, I really think it's because I think the elements are here. Yeah, I think it's just execution because I think the brother and sister, that's a fun dynamic.
Mm-hmm.
They're very fun characters. I like they go to the coffee bar. He's like, I'm not paying, and the bartender's like, excuse me, and she's like, oh, I don't mean to. Like, we are gonna pay. I'm just not paying. The sister. So all of that was compelling. It's just more so like I probably would have loved the brother and the sister to run into that girl much sooner in the movie, to have the sort of specter of these assassins hunting down this princess like really start to affect them. Mm-hmm. You do get a great standoff with the brother trying to be the bodyguard for the princess on the mountainside, and sort of really effective being like, oh, well, the gun has fallen. He's trying to protect this girl. He's been shot twice, and the guy and then something happens to where they end up winning the day, and so that's very dramatically interesting. But just in terms of how disparate the storylines are for as long as they are, and then when they finally converge, it's like, okay, like all of these things are things that I expect. It's just maybe the execution of it. I would have liked it a little. Just get us into that a little sooner.
Fair enough, and like I said, I would agree that it's not what I would consider the best version of this kind of a story, because we will get more of these, and I think it just they know how to play with the stakes a little better, or like balance it out between that and the kaiju stuff and whatever. I will say this does feel more in line with what Honda's good at, where like we questioned that with King Kong versus Godzilla, which tries to be a more overt comedy. Comedy as far as there's social commentary, there's satirical elements or what have you, that it's certainly leaning into the humor of it all, where this one, I don't want to say takes it super seriously, but it does, like, it plays more like an action plot that happens to have a sense of humor about itself, as opposed to a straight up satire or what have you.
Yeah.
And we're far beyond social commentary by this point in this movie. But I mean, certainly you can, like any movie, you can pick apart pieces as far as like what the year it's coming out and what what it's reflecting subconsciously or what have you on the filmmakers, perhaps. But in terms of like, or a Far Cry, the movie about the three-headed lightning dragon fighting three monsters while assassins attempt to execute a Venetian girl is a few steps away from the parable for a nuclear holocaust that we started the rest of the series with.
Yeah, certainly.
So
we have certainly moved.
We're a couple steps away from that. So
yeah, and I think also just like the idea of with Mothra, because I put this about the same level as Mothra. I liked those. I liked Mothra. I liked this one. With Mothra, you get like,
you mean the movie Mothra?
The movie
not
Mothra
versus Godzilla. Okay,
no,
got it.
You've got sort of the international intrigue there, and it's like they managed to weave in sort of like politics, but into the plot of the story just to make it feel. That's sort of what I meant about like feeling like the weight of it. Versus here, it's like it's very fun and it's very crazy, and it's like wild to be like, all right, the princess of a country gets like imprinted on like Jacob and Twilight by some sort of thing from Venus and jumps out of a plane and suddenly she's a prophetess. It's like, okay, that's crazy. I'm willing to go with it. It just is like, okay, the dramatic weight of her story is not being a prophet, being Cassandra, right? Somebody nobody listens to. It's really like assassins are trying to kill her, and this brother and sister are sort of in her orbit and teaming up to try and save her. And so it's more about execution. But this movie is definitely enjoyable. I had a fun time. Just for the fact that Godzilla suplexed Rodan at one point. And that was one of the few really good hits he got in, and I wrote the stuff.
He can make it count when he gets a chance.
And the volleyball with the rocks. Killed me.
Volleyball becomes a weird staple of this franchise.
Just batting the rocks back and forth, back and forth. It was like tennis too, just without the rackets. What's really ridiculous. I was glad that Godzilla finally realized that he could fight back in a meaningful way with the surroundings.
Fair,
you know.
Other thoughts on the kaiju action in this one? I am a fan of it because yes, we have multiple monsters this time around.
Yes.
So we're dealing with things in a variety of ways that have to show how powerful these things are, deliver on a certain fun, show what makes them individual and unique between each other, and try not to get lost in all of it as far as just being like a bunch of
I like puppets. The uniqueness. Any sort of team up thing. This was one of my biggest gripes with like Marvel at times in the DC movies, where it's like, and what I appreciate about X-Men when done right is like,
so 3 of those times. That's a joke. I like most of those movies.
You're thinking like X1, X2, and Days of Future Past. Yeah, like we won't get into that on this podcast. That's a separate episode.
Yeah, I know you only like the Singer films.
Don't. What you were trying to joke and imply with that is that, well, I like First Class. I thought First Class was great. But the evilness that you're trying to put on me, I reject. I'm volleying that rock back to you as if I were Godzilla and Rodan.
You were an apt pupil of his.
I was not, but I need, like, when you have things like this, I love the creativity to be there and the thought about the teamwork. And sort of like one of my biggest issues was like, he's like, Marvel didn't do anything with it. And then they did it in Age of Ultron, right? With like Cap hitting Thor hits the shield, right? Like in this one, it's Rodan. Mothra is grabbing the tail of Ghidorah. Rodan is doing what Rodan could do from the air. Godzilla's doing what he could do from the ground. Then at one point, Mothra climbs up on the back of Rodan so that he can fly up and shoot the web, and Godzilla can hold it. Like, just give me the teamwork aspect of it in really creative and fun ways. Is that what I think? Sometimes people they just rely on, big monsters, smashy. Okay, one of them wins. But in here, it's like, let's look at what each of them can do and how we can then position that within the battle to make it fun.
We don't have to debate this because it's a whole other podcast as far as Marvel goes, but it is why, regardless of what you think about these films around them, it's why I do think Whedon knows how to make Avengers movies in terms of the action compared to the Russos, because I do think his action scenes involving those characters reflect his understanding of what makes those characters unique and how compelling it can be to watch them act as a functioning unit.
Yeah.
Where the Russos version seems more like a, wouldn't it be cool if this happened, not rooted in superior knowledge of comic books or anything, but just like, well, we have these effects, why don't we just push these things together and see what happens?
Yeah, I mean,
I think Ultron is a perfect example of that, where whatever you feel about Age of Ultron, I do think I like it a lot. I like it more than the other two of them. But but
this might be the last episode of this podcast.
As far as Avengers will go, it's 1, 2, 4, 3. That's where I'm at. But
okay. But okay, I'll allow it for now.
The
one is clearly superior.
Yes, I agree. But in terms of like the action in Ultron, it very much, what I like is that it feels like a level up from the action in the first one, which already had a tease of that as far as watching like a big long shot of all of them working as a unit together.
Yeah.
Ultron, I think, does have a lot. It's almost casual about how effective they are when they know they can utilize each other for the greater good. Like, yes, you have scenes of just like, we know we can do the whole smash the hammer against the shield thing. That works.
Yeah.
Or we can, we can beam and stuff. Like, there's just things like that yes, the best of these Godzilla movies really know how to tap into, as well as we'll see going down the line, as far for things that are far less complicated than, shields and lightning and Iron Man missiles and what have you.
Yeah.
This is just fucking monsters that are
I mean, I love to see the team up. It's what I X-Men 97, I think, did a good job of showcasing this in terms of
X-Men 97 is a perfect example, because that's people that grew up watching all this stuff and are like, we know how we can do this better while using the assets that we grew up watching.
Yeah, if they gonna team up, I don't want to just see, it as fun as it is to see monsters just swinging on each other. It needs to be something like this. It's like, okay, at a certain point, Rodan's like, all right, hop up my back, Mothra. Let's go up here and use what you used against me a little earlier in the movie against this thing, and Godzilla will do what he needs to do.
It also is why I would be, if things went differently, I would have been fascinated to see what like Del Toro would have done with his Pacific Rim universe if he got to continue playing in that playground, because I think he's a guy that gets how that works. Like, as much as he loves his, gooey monster stuff, as far as his robot battles versus giant kaiju monsters, like, you can see the wheels are turning in his head as how to make that interesting, and it comes rooted in all this stuff. Watching these old movies and being like, you can have fun with these things, even though with the limit you have as far as the design of these costumes, how people can move inside these suits or whatnot, you can get something fun like, putting Mothra on Rodan's back and flying it around to take on Ghidorah while Godzilla holds it down. Any favorite moments specifically? I mean, you mentioned the suplex a couple of times.
The suplex is the batting the rocks back and forth.
Rocks.
It was just so insanely ridiculous. That might be my favorite moment in the movie. And Ishiro Honda does it for a long while.
Mine's definitely the three-way conversation between the three.
Yes.
Which is something I was looking forward to for you to see. Because it's very funny.
We're going to be on movie number 40 in this series, and I'm going to still be like, do you remember when Godzilla had the nerve to fix his mouth to say that humans were bullying him?
All right. Any final thoughts on Ghidorah the Three-Headed Monster?
I'm glad that I got to see this origin story.
Well, very good. I look forward to experiencing more Ghidorah with you in the coming movies. But yeah, I guess that's we've been going a little bit. That's gonna do it for our discussion of Ghidorah the Three-Headed Monster for now.
Yeah.
Where can people find more of you online?
You can find me at lenoirauto.net and on Twitter at Terence B. Johnson.
You can find everything I do at thecodeofzeke.substack.com. I write movie reviews for Wheel of Entertainment, Blu-ray and Criterion reviews for Why So Blue. I'm on all the socials there, and PS4, and of course I co-host the podcast Out Now with Aaron and Abe. With my friend Abe, we talk about weekly movie releases. And yeah, that's going to do it. So once again, thanks again for the iTunes reviews. Hope to get more of those if you feel like log on for that. And thanks to listeners for listening, but that's going to do it for this week's episode. Next week, we're talking Invasion of Astro Monster, which I'm very excited to watch with you as well. But yeah, for the time being, this has been Two Black Guys Talk Godzilla. Two Black Guys Talk Godzilla is an independent podcast. This show is produced, edited, and distributed by Aaron Neuwirth and Terence Johnson. Theme music is sampled from Feral Munch. Please rate and review this show on Apple Podcasts. Feel free to email us at blackguystalkgodzilla@gmail.com and follow us on all the socials at BLK Godzilla Talk on Twitter and Blue Sky and at Two Black Guys Talk Godzilla on Facebook and Instagram. And if you haven't already subscribed, feel free to do so wherever you download your podcast so you can keep listening to Two Black Guys Talk Godzilla. Some of the trailer for Ghidorah, which I go and imagine goes something like, "Here it comes, the most deadly of all the kaiju you've ever seen. If you thought Mothra was deadly, wait till you see Ghidorah, the three-headed monster. Watch as it ravages towns and only Godzilla and perhaps some friends can stop him."
Please leave the entirety of this in.
Just
put it at the end.
I just want to see how accurate. Yeah, I'll put it at the end. I want to see how accurate I am. All right.